Hey, what's going on? I am trying to see if the Facebook Live is set up here at this point. Let's see here. Stream. Okay. Might need to stop this and go back. Oh no, we are live. Look at that. Okay. I just can't use Facebook. What's going on, Ramon?
Already, good morning. There we go.
How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Good. What do you got going on?
Starting this Wednesday morning, pretty hectic already. Too
Yeah.
many. Yeah. How are you?
Oh, busy as usual, for sure. We got some drama going on this morning.
Oh, must be nice.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a little bit of drama, right?
Yeah. We have a deal posted up on Investor Lift, and we got another wholesaler that reached out to us this morning and said, hey, we got this deal under contract. Why are you guys marketing it? And we had a wholesaler reach out to us and say, they had this deal under contract and they needed help marketing it. So we put it out there, and now we got two people saying that they have this deal locked up. So
That's interesting.
yeah, it wouldn't be the first time that something like this has happened, though.
Why does that happen?
What?
Why does that happen? Do they reach out to the same seller at the same time? And
Yeah, sometimes the seller will sign
two contracts.
contracts. Yes, kind of take their chances to see what they can get from multiple wholesalers. So
Oh, that is pretty hectic for a Wednesday.
yeah, there's been a lot of message traffic going back and forth this morning on this. So where are you at?
So I'm in like the Tukwila area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm out in Snoqualmie. I was in downtown Seattle for a while.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I moved out here not too long ago. So yeah, what are you up to?
Yeah, so I'm kind of new to Washington. I've been here for like a year and a half. I'm from California, so
Okay.
yeah, so I'm still trying to find some end buyers to wholesale here in Washington. Haven't done it yet. In California, I've done two, and then I moved to Washington. So it's just basically just getting in connection with people, getting to meet new people, and then just kind of go from there.
Okay, cool. What part of California were you in?
I was in the Bay Area.
Okay, how was it wholesaling there? Like, that seems like it would be a difficult market to.
It was. My first deal was in 2020, right before the pandemic. But then after the pandemic, it kind of just paused. Then it started picking up, and then when it picked up, it picked up. It picked up. Now it's just everyone's just in fire. California is just fast paced. It's like every distressed property. It's like the owners have received more than like 500 calls. Like it's insane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that what you were primarily doing, as cold calling, or?
Yeah.
It seems like that's what everybody is doing. Everybody I'm talking to is cold calling or wanting to get into cold calling, and I don't know. I just get this feeling that like a lot of people are just hitting the same lists right now.
Exactly.
And
That's the issue. Everyone's hitting the same list, they're calling the same owners, and they're getting the same answers.
mhm. Yeah, so how do you kind of stand out then?
Right. How do you stand out is a question. And that's why I'm joining these meetings, these real estate meetings, local meetings, just to kind of better understand how do you stand out. I ask
Yeah,
myself, how do you stand out?
exactly. Yeah, because I probably talked to like 3 different wholesalers this morning, and everybody is like, "Oh yeah, I'm pulling lists from PropStream. I'm cold calling them myself, or I got a VA cold calling them." And I'm like, "Dang!" I mean, because I was doing that too previously as well, and this was when the market was good, and was having some success with it,
Right.
um, but now, yeah, I just don't know how that's gonna work with the market kind of not cooperating as much as it was, you
It's
know.
definitely changed. Yeah.
So yeah, so I've been doing a lot other different. It was basically been a lot of networking, is what I've got going on. Um, you know, just basically trying to get a lot of referrals from other people that are, finding deals and
Right.
stuff like that.
So are you an end buyer, or do you flip some,
Uh,
or what do you?
yeah, no, I do both.
Okay.
Most of my deals are wholesale deals, but I do buy some stuff for myself. I bought a fourplex in Georgia a couple months back, and in the
Gotcha.
process of getting that renovated and fixed up. Um, but haven't don't buy too many deals out here, at least right now. Although I started coming across stuff where I'm like this one would actually be,
Maybe, right.
yeah, this one might be good to keep for myself. And I had one of those back in October, and one of the people that I had walk it to get a quote on like repairs, just ended up selling it to them instead, so, or wholesaling it. So yeah, just which was fine because I ended up making money, in 3 weeks rather than having to take on the risk of
Keeping it.
making it and doing the work myself and all that stuff. So
Gotcha.
yeah. So yeah, so is this your full-time thing then now, or what do you what
I'm slowly getting into full time. That's the goal. That's the goal, is to become full time. I still have my 9 to 5 job.
okay.
Yeah, but that's the goal, is to leave it, leave my nine to five job, and then make this my full time job.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's the goal. Hopefully this year.
Well, it only takes one deal, right? To like be able to, replace quite a bit of your income depending on what it is that you're doing.
Exactly that. Exactly that. So I just have to kind of, and this is why I'm joining in all these meetings, just to connect with people here in the area in Washington, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up quitting my job a couple of years ago now, and I wasn't doing deals consistently, and I was doing deals here and there, but definitely not consistently. And what I kind of my thought was that surely if I can spend all this time I'm putting into my day job, surely I can find one deal a month at least with all this extra time that I got, right?
Right, right, right.
So I was like, okay, I was doing consulting for about 30 hours a week, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna take the
The risk,
the
the risk
risk.
to
Yeah.
your 9 to 5 job.
Uh, um,
How was that when you left? When you were like, okay, I'm officially gonna, right.
I thought I was gonna wake up feeling like so like free and empowered, and it was like I was scared shitless at first, like OMG, what if I never
What
get
have I
another
done?
again, sort of thing. But I mean, the interesting thing is like, so I've been wholesaling for, I don't know, maybe 2 years. Up to that point, I've done a number of other, flips and burrs and stuff like that. And um, so I probably had done like 30 deals up to that point, right? Not consistently, but like over the past 2 years, maybe 2 dozen wholesale deals. And
Oh wow.
yeah, so it is a big mindset thing for me, though, that thinking, I had this and I still struggle with it too, like the scarcity mentality, like what if I never get another deal again, right? How am
One
I
time
gonna,
thing.
yeah, it was a fluke, it was a one-time thing. Yeah, so it's this constant battle in my head of saying, oh no, I can do this, like I do know what I'm doing, and if I look at the evidence and if I look at my history, I've done this before, so why can't I keep doing it, so but having a paycheck every 2 weeks is like hard to let go of at the same time,
Right.
right?
I
So
hear that. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, so I don't know if you're familiar with Jameel Damji or not, Astro Flipping, Pace Morby. They yeah, so they're down in the Phoenix market, and they run, well, Jameel runs Keegley, which they're doing between 60 and 100 deals a month. They were doing 100 deals last year when the market was still good. Now they're doing like 60.
Oh wow.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, so they um anyway, they did a mastermind mentorship thing. I was part of their mentorship program like years ago, and then I went to the mastermind. I got to meet with Jameel and then spend the weekend at Keegley and seeing like how they run all their operations and stuff like that. And I came back from that thinking, dang, I'm just thinking way too small, like,
Right.
so that weekend was the weekend I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna tell my job that gonna finish up the last project for them, and then
Done.
gulp.
How long ago was that?
So that was about 2 years ago, almost two
Right,
years ago exactly. Yeah.
right, right.
So, and that mastermind was a lot of money too. Like
I bet. I bet.
it was more than $10,000 just for the weekend. And at the time I was like, oh, like, do I even have the money for this? Like, you know, I feel like I'm doing this consulting gig and I'm just using it to pay the bills on the wholesaling business, basically. And can I really afford to spend this money? But
But
if I look,
right? It worked
what's
out,
that?
right? It worked out.
It worked out. Yeah, exactly. I was like, if I look back now and see the money I made because I ended up quitting my job and having all this extra time to focus on wholesaling, it was like 30x return on that money, right? But when you're going into it, you don't know what sort of return you're gonna get on that sort of thing, right?
It's like a gambling situation. You just never know.
Yeah, you never know. Or I mean, I guess one thing is like you're gonna get out of it what you put into it too, right? So, and it's going to depend like on your mindset and stuff like that. So if you come away with it and just being like, oh, that sucks, I just spent all this money and he didn't even show me how to do anything. Like all I got to do is watch his people talk, and now he's not telling me exactly what I should be doing to
Yeah.
that, right? Uh
Kind of where I'm at right now. I got into this program, cost me like almost 8,000.
mhm,
And they're out of San Diego, so it's like this like mentorship type of wholesale thing. I joined
mhm,
like a year ago. That's almost like maybe it's either a hit or a miss. I mean, they provided good information, but it's not what I expected. But
mhm.
I
Which
actually
one is it?
it's called VIP whole. It's called VIP wholesale real estate skills.
Okay, I don't think I've heard
Yeah,
of that.
they're out of San Diego. It's like almost $8,000. And that's almost like, I mean, should I do it? Should I not? I mean, I don't really have the money for it, but I do. But it is what it is. It's kind now. It's just get the knowledge and just get to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was kind of where I was at too when I first joined that group. They had like a mentorship group that they were just starting. Jamil did, and that was $6,000 at the time just to join their program. And but I didn't know what to do. Like I was trying my own stuff. I did some Facebook ads, I did some direct mail, and I wasn't doing some stuff like consistently enough probably to see like results from it. But so I was like, I need to like get a recipe from somebody who's like already doing this and then just
Right.
follow it exactly, right? And then have access to them where if I have some questions about like, okay, here's what I'm running into when I'm trying to do this, that they'd be able to, answer questions for me. So
Exactly that. Yeah.
yeah, but that was the same sort of situation where it was like a lot of money, right? And I was like, is this gonna be worth it? What am I gonna learn? So yeah, it was it's hard to do, but I'm glad I did it. So what are the things that you're finding is kind of a struggle with the group that you're in, that it's not what you were expecting it to be?
I think since there's so many, since it's like a community of like 800 people, there's, I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to get a hold of a mentor.
Mhm.
I mean, they do answer your questions here and there, and it looks like they're on it, but it's just there's just so many people in there. There's just so many involved. I thought it would be differently. I don't know. I thought it would be like a mentor assigned to you, but no, it's like a whole community, and then everyone just reunites to this kind of phone call and then just ask questions.
Yeah, so they don't do like weekly like calls or anything like that to
Yeah, every Tuesdays and Thursdays. But there's just so many people on the call.
oh, okay. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the I was kind of lucky in that regard because I got in when they had just started their program. And so when I was on the calls, there was maybe like 15 people on the calls.
Oh yeah.
And so I got like direct access to Josiah Grimes was the one of their founders, and so he was running the calls at the time, and so I got to spend basically one-on-one time with him, getting my questions answered and stuff like that. But now there's like hundreds of people on the calls because they got like 5,000 or 6,000 people in their
Oh wow.
group, so they've like totally blown up.
Yeah,
Yeah, so um yeah, it's kind of crazy. So that's like the biggest complaint I hear from people in that group now, because I'm still in the group, like on their Facebook group and stuff, but I don't go on the calls because people they say like, hey, like these calls are like go like for 3 or 4 hours
yeah, literally.
sometimes, and I can't even get a question answered on it. So yeah, I get that. So
Yeah, I think
that's kind of sucks. So what are some of the questions that you've had that you can't like where you get stuck?
I think so I've been talking to agents here nearby. I've been made a lot of connections with the agents. I think my situation is finding a cash buyer since I'm not from Washington. I still have to build contacts and get in contact with end buyers, which is why I'm joining all these meetings here locally. But I think that's where my hiccup is at. Is just trying to find an end buyer here in the area. I've contacted multiple, but they seem uninterested.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So what do you use any software like PropStream or Batch Leads or anything like that?
Yeah, I just use PropStream.
Okay. Yeah, PropStream is for us has been a pretty good resource for finding buyers. I've got a number of different things I'll do to kind of try to figure out like who's might be some of the bigger buyers in the market and like in a particular area. So, and then I'll just start cold calling them up. And it's interesting. One time I found somebody that I had already known in a meetup group. I was like looking up their contact info for their LLC, and I called them and I was like, oh, this is Joseph. Like, yeah, we talked a number of times in the meetup. Like, I found his info and ended up finding his info in PropStream because he's like a pretty big buyer it was a pretty big buyer at the time in the Tacoma area. So,
Do you
but
do you call the agent that was listing like a comp nearby, or do you
oh, yeah.
contact?
Yeah, definitely. We found a buyer that way as well on a deal that was kind of out in the middle of nowhere up in Granite Falls. It was actually outside of Granite Falls and had this deal locked up. The closest comp was a property that just was flipped and sold. Looked up. First, I was gonna call the agent, but then I was like, let me find the seller, see if I can find the seller first, because if I don't have to go through the agent, then because they might want a piece of the deal.
Right,
Like,
right.
so I was like, oh, let me see if I can find the agent. So I looked it up. It was an LLC that owned it, went to open corporate, saw who owned the LLC, and it was actually the listing agent. So, so she was an investor and she was also licensed. So I called her up and she's like, oh yeah, I just flipped this house. I'm listing it because I'm licensed, but I was the one that did the work on it. And I was like, oh, hey, we got another one, you know, a little further out. And so she's like, oh yeah, I'd totally be interested. I buy in Granite Falls, you know. So she went, checked it out. She's like, okay, let's do it. Price was good. She's like, let's lock it up. And the problem is there was a squatter in it who was a family friend, and the seller was just dragging his heels on trying to get the guy out of it. And so they finally had to go through like a legal process because it came to closing day and he's like, the seller's like, oh yeah, he'll be out. You know, we were driving through, you know, every, you know, few days.
They're checking in to see if they moved out.
Checking in to see, and he was still there. And he's like, no, he'll be out by closing. So buyer drove by day before closing. You're
Still there.
I was like, oh man. So she's like, okay, I'm not closing on it. She gave us like a month to try to get him out. And so they had to go the legal route, and it was going to be a very lengthy process. And so it didn't happen. And that deal ended up going bust, unfortunately.
Oh, really? It didn't go through.
Yeah, it didn't go through. It took them like 6 months to get that guy out of there.
Yikes.
And finally, when they did, the agents, they had an agent friend. He's like, you know what? Let me just clean this place up a bit, and we'll just list it on the market.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so that they did that and they ended up getting like 50K more than
What you guys have.
they were otherwise gonna get. Yeah. Yeah.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, exactly. But that was like a textbook example of like looking up flips in the area, just like on Zillow or Redfin or whatever, and finding out who those people were. So yeah, so I would recommend that. The other way too is I like to call up like landlords that just have listings on Zillow. You know, they got some for rent on Zillow. And so if you go to Zillow, the contact info, sometimes it'll say it's a property manager, but sometimes it says it's listed by the property owner. And so I'll just call them up and say, oh, hey, I'm Rob. You know, I'm a wholesaler. I find a lot of off-market deals. Are you like looking to buy any more rentals, or you do flips or anything like that? And a lot of them are pretty receptive to wanting to chat, especially if like they might be able to get a discounted off-market deal.
I didn't think of that. I didn't think about the rent on
Yeah,
Zillow.
yeah. So we've done that quite a bit too.
Gotcha.
Buyers, yeah. So but yeah, PropStream probably by far is been our best source. And then just going on Facebook too, if you like look at other people's posts that they do.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of posts, but here's my thing. Since like I said, I'm still new to Washington. I'm still trying to conversate with and meet new end buyers. So do you recommend first contacting end buyers and kind of figure out what they want and then get into contract, or get in contract and then start like, hey, I have we're in contract here. Do you want to look at it, or what do you recommend since I'm starting off here in Washington?
I personally would start going after deals first, right? Because my feeling is, and I did this too when I was starting out, was like, if you can find a deal, first of all, then you can post it on, social media and stuff and start getting buyer leads. But like 99% of the people on Facebook initially are going to be tire kickers, right? So it's going to take time to like vet those buyers and stuff to find out like what they're really buying. But you can always partner up with like a wholesaler like me or any other like wholesalers in the area that have pretty large buyers lists and say, hey, like I'd be willing to, split my fee on this, or here's how much I'd want to net on this. Like you can mark it up, you put your fee on top of it. And then just move it that way. That way you're just focusing on finding the deals, finding the sellers, and on acquisitions. And then over time, you're going to start building your own buyers list up.
Right. Okay, because the mentorship that I'm in, they're saying the opposite. No. You need to talk to the cash buyers first before you get into contract. Like, do not get into contract without having any end buyers. But then I've been having a lot of difficulties talking to them because, and I get the end buyers. Like, I don't want to. If you don't have a deal, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to waste time. And I totally get it. Like I'm like, but they're saying the opposite. But I agree with you. I think you need to get into a deal and then start, connecting with people, start making phone calls. I actually have spoke to an agent. He's actually waiting for me to get back to him. I think it's going to be a great deal. It's just I'm just kind of nervous. Like, all right, like if I put in an offer, what if I don't get an end buyer? But I think it's a great deal. But maybe we can probably discuss about it after.
Yeah, for sure. And like the way I approach this too is like, I always encourage people to talk to us because like you don't want to lock up something at a price that doesn't make sense, right? So I always like to people that we're working with, like give them some guidance, like, okay, here's what I think we could probably sell this for, right? So if as long as what you're locking it up is less than that, like I have a fair amount of confidence that we could, move it at this price, so because I've just talked to a lot of wholesalers that they're just so excited to talk to a motivated seller. And I had this experience up on a deal in Everett where, they had it locked up at 400,000. And so they said, oh, hey, can you help me, dispo this? I talked to a few buyers, but didn't have any luck. I was like, sure, yeah, I can take a look at it. And I'm like, geez, it's too high. And they said, okay, well, where do you think you could sell it at? And I was like, maybe 325. And so it'd have to be locked up at like 300 at least to like make it worth it, right? And he has it locked up at 400. And I was like, okay, well, let's just kind of work backwards here. Like, just walk me through the process of how you like
Analyze.
how you figured out the 400 offer price. And he's like, well, that's just what the seller wanted. And I was like, just because the seller wanted it, though, doesn't mean it's going to be a deal at that price. Now, the
Seller
problem,
would always want, triple whatever the house is worth.
right? Yes, exactly. It's very, very rare where like the seller just gives you a number and the deal just works at that price.
Must be nice.
So, yeah. So I was like, okay, here's the problem now, because now that you gave him a number, 400 is going to work. It's going to be very, very, very hard to like get him down to 300.
Right. That's $100,000 less. I mean, good luck. I mean, if it works,
Yes.
congrats, but
Yes. So I was like, yeah, just talk to us first next time, because if you need to be at 300, that means you got to start below 300.
like 280.
280 or 250 even. Like I would throw out like a 250 number just to see what the reaction is to that price, even if it's not going to be the offer. Just trying to work that number into a conversation, like just to anchor their expectations really low, so your 280 offer doesn't sound so bad.
Exactly
right?
that.
Like I just throw out a number like, hey, just to get in the conversation, like, hey, there was a comp sold for 250, right? Maybe it was a cash sale or something. Something in the neighborhood, just to get that number out there. And I'm not saying we have to be that low on this, but I was just looking through the numbers, and that's kind of what I see. And then they're like, oh, well, where do you think you'd have to be? Like, probably 280-ish. So now, like, if they were at 400 initially, and then you threw out the 250 number, you already like just reset their expectations on what their number might end up being. So whether or not it would end up working for them in the end is like another story, though, right? So but yeah, and then agents also are another good source of buyers, because there's quite a few agents that work with investors. And so we've worked with agents on the buy side as well, where they bring the buyer and they'll most of the time just put their commission on top of whatever the
Right.
price is, right?
Yeah, and I've been talking to multiple agents here in the area, and they're very motivated to get work done. I think talking to agents is literally, to me, is easy. I think passing it on to an end buyer is where I get stuck, since I'm not from Washington, but I mean, I have to start somewhere.
Yeah, and it'll take some time to build those relationships for sure. But yeah, it'll just be a matter of just continuing to do outreach and talk to people. And and the thing is too, like, you don't need a ton of buyers either. You just need a few really solid ones. So if you're finding deals that are like legit deals, like there's actually some meat there, then I don't think you're going to have trouble selling them. The problem is, like, there's just a lot of shitty deals right now going around there, out around there, because there's just so many sellers with unrealistic expectations about what it is that they think they can get for their property, because of what their neighbor sold it for like last year, right? So
Yeah, no, I agree. The market's a bit strange nowadays. But yeah, I mean, I have a property. Maybe later on you can take a look at it to see. I think it's going to be a great deal. It's over.
Yeah. So are they talking price yet on it, or
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
we have. Yeah, we have. I think they're just waiting for me to put in an offer. And
Okay.
yeah. And the agent's like, you know what, we connected very well. So they're like, I would
Okay.
rather work with you than this offer. So
Yeah. Well, that's a huge thing too, is that rapport, building that rapport, right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, for sure. Hit me up later, and if you want to run the numbers by me, I can let you know what somebody might be willing to pay for it, depending on the.
Or who knows? Maybe if it works out, we can probably JV on the deal. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
You can guide me with my first deal.
I'm down to make some money.
And I think it's a great deal. The fact that it's here in Tukwila. It's in the 200,000. So
Okay.
I think I think it would be a great deal.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll discuss it
200,000 Tukwila, just as long as it's not like a pre 1976 manufactured home.
Yeah, I think
it could be a deal. So
it's a huge property. So
okay.
take a look at it, and then if you think it's worth it, then we can probably submit it.
Yeah, I'd be totally down for that. Totally down for that. Let's see. So Facebook Live ended up not working. So looks like Jason was the only other person to make it on the call here. Somebody else just pinged me on LinkedIn, said he's not able to log into Zoom either right now. So I don't.
Oh, it didn't work out.
I don't know what's going on. It was on Facebook for
Facebook was working before I came over there. I just don't like being on Facebook.
Yeah, well, it's not working anymore. I'm not seeing it on there now. So what you up to, man? Like you started hitting that list yet?
No, I'm working a fresh local list of like 600.
Oh, okay. Where'd you get that list from?
Oh, PropWire.
Oh, PropWire. Okay. This is the first time. So I hadn't heard of this until like maybe 2 weeks ago.
I told you about it like a month ago, bro.
Okay, well, I obviously wasn't paying.
It's
close enough.
okay. Nobody pays attention to me when I talk, bro.
Your wife does?
I said nobody, so she's definitely not here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I actually saw one of what's his name's YouTube things that he did with Robert Wensley. Who does who owns PropWire? It's the
Jerry.
flipping
Jerry.
Jerry Norton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think of it?
It's simple and it's quick. I don't know. I pulled a couple different lists off there. I think I put like a total like 700. Yeah, I mean,
You have to pay to download.
no, you could pull the list for free, but they just now started integrating skip tracing, but my skip tracing is so much more cheaper than that. So, but yeah, it's 10 cents though for the skip.
Okay, so is that how they make their money then? Is by
Yeah, definitely.
So can you download as much data as you want to from that?
Yeah. So you can
What?
download the list, and then you could download the list and certain parameters. I think like let me pull up mine real quick, or I could screen share it with you real quick. Let me see here.
Yeah. Let me let's see if I can enable screen sharing here. Yeah, so I'm using I've just been using PropStream. Can you pull buyers from it also?
I do not believe so.
All right, I'm going to do a little more homework on this. I just played a little bit with it last week, and I was like, okay, this could be interesting. I was trying to use it to find deals on the MLS, but it really wasn't turning up a whole lot.
But let me see the info I got, because you could pick all the info that you want. I need to get out my skip tracing info though. So you can get address, mailing address, vacant, non-vacant, lots, acre size, subdivision, APN, legal descriptions, property use, bathrooms, of course, all the other stuff. Forced air, ownership length, owner type, owner vacant or not, listing status, listing price, days on market, agents, MLS type, estimated value, mortgage open and mortgage change, lender name, D type, positions, tax amount, assessed improved.
So it's basically like a lot of similar data to what's showing up in PropStream then. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same as PropStream.
Okay. Dang.
It's just it's not as robust and finite. It's a little bit more simpler. So
Okay.
I mean, I didn't really use the filters too much anyways. I just used really quick parameters because there really wasn't that much over here. So I'm even just kind of local to my house. So it's only like 700, I think. I think I skipped a total of 690, 710, somewhere right around there.
Interesting. So and then do they have any other like paid?
So they're gonna roll out with because I was on the platform pretty early, probably like the week it started. They're rolling out with that, a dialer and SMS campaign. So they're gonna kind of roll into like a SaaS platform over there to kind of keep all that in-house.
Okay.
So if they're charging 10 cents for the skip, then they're probably going to charge probably do a Twilio plugin and probably charge 2 cents for the call and fractions for the SMS.
Okay, that makes sense. Interesting. Yeah, they might potentially have some other paid services as well in the future. Maybe like automated follow-ups and sequencing and stuff like that, or integrating it with the CRM. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think think they're probably gonna try to turn that into PropWire plus a CRM.
Mhm. Yeah, it makes sense. But if the data is free, that's what I am, that's what I care about.
Yeah.
Actually, prop stream, you get 10,000 downloads a month, I think, just for whatever the base rate is, right?
Yeah, it's like 10,000. I think if you want to pay for the higher tier, it's something else more. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because what I would like to do is basically create a very structured process for hitting up buyers to add to the list, and that would be like basically just downloading massive amounts of data from different platforms. And so we're using PropStream right now, and InvestorLift is the other one that we're using to find buyers. But it seems like we get enough data off of those where we could automate like an SMS campaign to, basically reach out to people who have bought properties for cash in the last 6 months or so. And
how big is that list? Because you could use
huge,
that for,
huge.
huh?
It's a huge list. Like there's tens of thousands of people. It depends on like how you. It
No, I meant
depends.
your buyers list.
How big is the buyers list in PropStream that's coming
No, how
back?
big is your buyers list that you're talking
Oh,
about automating to?
yeah, it's thousands. It's about
Gotcha.
5,000. Yeah.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it seems like you could build a very, very well-defined process and automate it from a CRM for just saying, here's another chunk of data. Here's another list of buyers that were downloaded from the platform. Go through and just start sending the text messages out and finding out who is interested in this deal, and then flag that. If they come back with a response, flag it in the CRM, and then somebody can go and then follow up with them directly to kind of vet that buyer to see like, okay, how many deals are they buying a month or a year? What areas are they looking for specifically? And how are they funding their deals? And what's the buy box on their deal look like specific as possible as you can get, and get that in the CRM then. And that way, if you do come across something that matches those criteria, you can, who to go to, right away. And Ramon,
I
are
find
you?
the easiest way to do that is usually use tags in CRMs and then just
Yeah,
group them in
exactly.
tiers.
Yep.
Tier
Exactly.
1, tier 2, tier 3.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing in Podio. We got tags for property types, so single family, heavy rehab, like anything that might uniquely identify a property type: fire damaged, Airbnb, vacant lot. So that way, if we get a deal in and it's a fire damaged property, we can go to all the buyers that have been tagged with the fire damage tag and pull up all those buyers right away, and then start reaching out to them directly first. We'll do our email blast and social media posts and all that stuff, but we'll start hitting those buyers up that we know have either bought that type of deal in the past or have asked about those types of deals in the past, right?
Mm.
To kind of cut down on that time that it takes to find somebody that might be interested in a deal like that. So
Funny enough, I don't really have time to work my list. You wanna JV my list with me, Rob?
are you
They're all
talking about
local.
the,
They're all local to me, so I can do
oh,
work and everything else, but I don't have time to call.
yeah, so the thing is, like, I'm not hitting I'm open to the idea, but I got rid of my cold caller that was doing direct to seller stuff, because all of our stuff now is pretty much referral based.
Mm.
That I was looking at the revenue we were getting from referrals and just networking and just organic outreach and stuff like that through social media, and then looking at the revenue we're getting from direct to seller marketing through cold calling, and it was like 10-1 through just networking, and yet I was spending most of my money on cold calling and data and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense to keep spending this money on the cold caller. So I ended up dropping the direct to seller approach. And the other thing too is kind of like I was saying earlier on the call is like I feel like everybody, like a lot of wholesalers I'm talking to are just are cold calling right now and pulling lists from PropStream or batch leads or Privy or whatever. And so what are people doing to differentiate themselves? If everybody's doing cold calling and cold texting. And the other thing too is like when you're doing outreach that way, you're hitting people like that are very, very early in the process, since it's outbound marketing, very early in the process of their of them selling the property, right? So if you're hitting a tax delinquent list, you're hitting people that have been served, a tax notice, and they're maybe at the very beginning of the process of trying to figure out what they want to do with the property, right? Where as if you're doing the inbound marketing where, they're calling you because you're running Facebook ads or Google ads or doing direct mail or something where you're getting them to call you. Those people are at the point where they're ready to sell and they're reaching out to somebody to say, hey, I need help with this thing now. Can you help me with it? And so you're looking at probably a much shorter time to closing a deal if you're doing inbound marketing versus outbound.
Oh, very true. But
marketing.
I don't get the nut for that right now, because I usually run a kind of robust campaign when it comes to marketing. So,
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the question is like, I don't know. If you got X amount of dollars to spend, right? And you're spending, I guess if you're doing the calling yourself, you're not really, having to hire a VA or anything. So really your costs are the data and
my cost is what is detracting me from that's going to make me more money immediately.
right.
So,
but the follow-up process is going to be the key there, right? Because most of these sellers aren't going to be ready to sell like the first time you call them, right?
That's why I pulled it closer to me, so that way I can work it while I'm out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pretty much like cold call, door knock in the same essence. So people just things around me.
Yeah. That makes sense. So are you still doing door knocking as well?
Just on certain key properties.
Okay.
Oh, it's not really.
Okay.
Like I have things I haven't doing.
I would love to hear from somebody who doing door knocking like consistently, and what sort of what are the statistics on that? How many doors do you have to knock to get a deal, or how many doors do you have to knock first of all to find somebody that's interested in selling, regardless if it's they're motivated or not, and then how many doors do you have to knock to actually get a deal that makes sense? Because to me it seems like there's so many quicker ways to contact owners. I understand with door knocking you're reaching out to them in a way that probably they haven't been reached out to yet. They probably have got like a zillion cold calls, text messages, yellow postcards, like.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're door knocking like a list, so like you pull like pre-foreclosures and you get a list that's just fresh hot, then you door knock that list. I mean, it's kind of a cold call, but it's really door knocking. You're setting yourself apart from somebody on the telephone as you're somebody in person that they actually can see and feel your energy and get a real rapport with, as opposed to being on the phone. So I know people that do that pull lists locally, and then they'll just go door knock that list, from fresh pre-foreclosures or foreclosures, or a 90-day out to auction dates.
Yeah, that makes
and you'll
sense.
usually be more successful with that because he's busy. He's busier than I am doing it. So I mean, that's his niche though. So I'm kind of taking a play from his book. But that's what he's doing. He's doing maybe 6 deals a month solo.
6 deals a month, just door knocking?
Just door knocking, sub 2s, selling, flips, rehab. Yeah. Guys out there.
Crazy.
Yeah, and he lives in where the hell does he live at now? He lives in Boston. He's always over here because I guess he grew up over here. So he's all through Seattle and everywhere else.
Yeah, I would love to hear how many doors that he's knocking on in order to get a deal. But I guess that's the thing though, is like if you're hitting a pretty targeted list, that probably makes a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You're
yeah,
gonna hit the most motivated of the motivated.
yeah. Although I'm very leery of doing pre-foreclosures in Washington, right? Because you're not supposed to be targeting them in your marketing. And so I know people that are, but it seems like it's playing with fire potentially if somebody ends up complaining about seeing how much money you make on a deal where you wholesale their property.
If you do business above board, I mean, I don't know. I am just a above board person. So if you just do business above board, you give them a fair shake on the property. You explain to them, hey, you haven't remodeled this joint since 1985. You're not going to get top dollar for it, and you're in here fucking hoarding. And you got rat poop and dog piss everywhere. You're not going to get all that. Someone's got to come here and clean all this up. It's not going to be HDD TV standards by the time we need to sell it. So that means we need to dump a lot of money into this. This is the price I'm going to give you. I'm going to help you move, whatever else.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, that in pre-foreclosure situations, the property itself might not actually be distressed, right? It's just the seller is in a distressed financial situation. And so maybe, we did a deal in Longview that the property itself was actually in pretty good shape, but the seller was like a month away from auction. So
there are things that I've done that are just me specifically. If they're willing to do that, then I will get them, an appraisal. And that way they can see I'm not really trying to jake them around. I've done this on a couple of times.
Yeah.
So I mean, trying to fit in somebody's appraisal window, but I do know appraisals, but I tell them to reach out to them. I mean, at the end of the day, if I'll have them pay for it and I will reimburse them the payment later.
At closing,
but I will, yeah. And I will direct them to where to go, but they're not gonna know that they came from me.
Yeah.
But I will, direct them to over there. But I won't not gonna give the heads up or anything else. And that's just the best way. If you really want it, I mean, what's a couple $700? It's really nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Well, appraisals are a wild card, though, is the thing. Like I've had this experience personally where, an appraisal has blown up a BRRRR deal that I've done because you just don't know. Like I've had appraisals that have gone in my favor, came back way more than I expected them to. And
well, I mean, you got to know when to use it. I'm not saying use it for everything, but I mean, this place is ran down. They got boards missing up the walls and everything else. And even those are the times that you need an appraisal. I don't mean just for some holes in the wall. I mean, no, the motherfucker's a junker. So
yeah,
you need an appraisal.
They're not gonna. That the appraisal, if they're saying their neighbor's house sold for $500K and it was modeled and they're saying they want $500K and it's a whole house and dead cats and boxes and all that stuff, that the
ain't been painted for 20 years, kitchen's out from the 70s.
Yes, that
the floor is all bent and just soggy and saggy everywhere. Black mold everywhere. Yeah, you're not gonna make that appraisal, buddy. So you want to do it, we can do it.
Yeah.
It's either that or loop them on an option real quick.
Yeah.
That way you don't gotta BS your way out of some contingency.
Right. Yes, exactly.
I started using that quite a bit more too. It's just the option play. Because just coming out of it, you didn't pass my inspection shit. I just feel underhanded doing that, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right, guys.
It was good. And I got another meeting at 12. Yay. So my whole life is Zoom.
What's that?
Life is Zoom and phone calls.
Well, FaceTime is important.
Well, good talking with you guys. I'll see you guys.
I'll shoot you a message on the
side. All right, cool. Sounds good, man. Let's do it.
Tuesday at 11.
Take care. See you. Bye-bye.